Welcome to World Kitchen Bulgaria. I guess it's been about a month since we've seen you, and some of you are new, so welcome. I want to thank our sponsor, the Outreach and Online Education Office of Inclusion, Equity, and Diversity, for sponsoring World Kitchen again this year. And I want to let you know that unfortunately, our Zoom recording didn't take last month, so we don't have a recording website of last month's World Kitchen Italy. The good news is my guest chef from last month, Justin, has agreed to come back and do some new and different things and kind of repeat a couple of things that did really well and that people enjoyed. So we will do that early in the new year, and we will get that video up as soon as we can. But for today, I know that if you're like me, you are kind of switching between fall mode and winter mode since we've already had snow here in central Pennsylvania. So my poor pumpkins are still sitting outside, but I'm afraid they're gonna freeze to death. But my guest chef today has some ideas for you on how to use those pumpkins, and it's pretty interesting. So I want to introduce Adelina Hristova.
Hello.
Adelina is originally from Bulgaria, and she's going to do some really interesting recipes with us today, including a very interesting pumpkin baklava. So I will let Adelina take it away. As always, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask them yourself. And then I'll see you soon.
Yeah, hello everyone, and thank you, Tamara, for giving me the opportunity to share some ideas from the old country, some recipes, which I have included in the book with 3 simple ingredients in 33 dishes. It started as a family project, and now we are spreading and we're sharing this recipes with you. So why 3 ingredients? So when I was looking for recipes to write down for my kids, who always ask for cool stuff in their guests, so I found out that, with the list of things I had to share, it came out to my attention that Bulgarian cuisine is season-based. So we cook specific things in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, in the winter. But 3 things we always get at home. So these were the feta, the yogurt, and the walnuts. So I'll be using walnuts today in this the first recipe, but then we'll use yogurt and feta and yogurt and and walnuts, 2 of the ingredients in one of the recipes. And Tamara at once she asked me, do you have a recipe of the 3 of them? So I didn't have this, but so now we'll start with the pumpkins, so the walnuts will be in the pumpkin baklava. So this pumpkin is a decoration. Tamara actually shares, and she saved for me, and there are many pumpkins that we would love. My mom, if she was here, she'll be going around in the neighborhood and asking for the pumpkins not to be thrown away or wasted. So what do we do with these pumpkins? And it might look a lot of work, but I want to, so I'll tell a little bit of stories as we go. But so this is, we cut the pumpkin. So in the recipe it says medium size, so this was the one I already cut, but we cut it, and it might look a bit of a chore to cut, but if you're angry or if you want to hit something, this is a good time to go get all this energy. So this is allowed to cut. And then some of these pumpkins cut easier, and some don't go so easy. So we can maybe push. I want to show you that we have actually a riddle that all Bulgarian kids know, and it's about the pumpkin. We say there is a house, full house with a lot of babies, with the kids, full house with the kids, And this house doesn't have no window or no doors. When we open it, yes, here are the kids. So these are the next year's pumpkins, of course, from the seeds. And we, of course, we clean and cut all the pieces. And one of my favorite parts, we involve the kids in to clean the seeds for me. And then we bake the seeds. So this is how the pumpkin looks like. You can take your time to cut your pumpkin. These were, my grandkids said that these were kids lined up to go to school. So here. And then the part we really need is to, and the chore, of course, to peel the pumpkins. So it's not easy to peel a pumpkin, and if you start a whole piece like this, it's almost impossible. I use like a regular potato peeler, but I cut in a smaller pieces, so and then it becomes really like just easy. Okay, it's a pie. And the smaller, this is maybe an ideal size, and here it's like just peeling a potato. If you have a good potato peeler, this is how you do it. And then, so I already have done some of this.
So somebody's already asking the question. I think it'll be explained as they watch you. They're asking whether they could use canned pumpkin, but this is not going to be a puree. This is going to be shredded, right?
Yes. So a really good question, and we talked about it. So when you make this dessert, you would not be the taste would not be like a pumpkin pie, the traditional we have in this culture. So, and yes, it will be shredded, and I'm going next one, I'll be shredding it here, and this will bring, so the difference will be in texture. If you like your pumpkin, canned pumpkin as a puree, you can use it. It might be very
it's going to be too wet, isn't it?
Too wet, and yes, and too mushy inside. Yeah. You can experiment if you want to do it. So yes, it might look like a bit of like chore, and I always think of my grandma. She was doing this by hand. She was using the old-fashioned grater, and one by one she would peel. Of course, the kids would help, and then she would peel and we'll shred. And then we have this wonderful machines at home in our kitchens. It takes just a few seconds to shred it. And because we are sauteing it, for people who want to experiment, because kitchen, I believe, is like a place where we experiment. And don't be afraid to experiment. Want to saute your canned puree, maybe get some of this water, just the texture will be different.
I just want to think one of the things you can do, though, because I think people are kind of maybe saying that this time of year it's very easy to find pumpkins, but in the spring or in the summer it's not easy to find pumpkins. But you have a solution for that, right?
Yes, exactly. And I did peel and cut and peel the whole of my pumpkin yesterday, and I brought some of it, but then the rest, when I shred it, I put it in a Ziploc bag and I froze it, so I can open it anytime I want. Usually my pumpkins go around the holidays because it's a seasonal thing. We only eat pumpkins when they're available. But nowadays freeze, and then we can make some pumpkin soup afterwards, cream pumpkin, so it will be available and nice, ready for you. So, and about the work, it's not an everyday dessert. It's not an everyday treat. So I was when I was cutting yesterday, and I said, this is a good connection to nature. So it's like connecting with all my ingredients. So I take my time. Grandma used to take her time to even to roll her sheets.
Her phyllo,
her
she made
phyllo
the
sheet,
phyllo,
yes,
yeah.
from the scratch. But this was a
Wow.
one-day thing. She had her own round little low table, sufra we call it, and then she'll roll it, and one by one, and she'll check how thin they are. They need to be thin enough, and it's not a pizza dough. So she would place it over a newspaper. So if she can read the newspaper over the sheets,
Oh.
this was thin enough for her baklava. For her pumpkin dessert, we call it tikvenik, because tikva is the pumpkin in Bulgarian. However, so my mom modified her old recipe, grandma's recipe, and she made it into a baklava. So now I'm sharing a recipe from my grandma and modified by my mom. So my mom is in Bulgaria. I tried to have her on today, but I'm not sure if we were successful. So if you see somebody from Bulgaria, her name is Radka. So that's my mom. So we'll finish this. Yeah, so feel free to, yes, take your time and shred and connect with all the, and even connect more with the ingredients. We used to crack our walnuts, of course, and then grandma would crack and we'll, so this was all a kind of ritual. It is a ritual. This is not an everyday dessert. So
Someone else was saying that while they're watching today, they're eating their roasted pumpkin seeds.
yes, good idea. And this is always a winner with the kids, of course. The only thing, the trick to it, it's not in my recipes here, but it's a bonus. They burn very quickly. So very low. I would turn them several times on the lowest 175, turn them on and off, and then kind of let it, it's almost not baking, but drying so this is the best. I did add some flour and salt, and I left some of the pumpkin, part of the pumpkin orange inside, so they look, yeah, so.
And to take the seeds out of the pumpkin, you don't really clean them at all.
I do not rinse, just kind of, you don't want the whole orange, how they call it, what is this?
The pulp.
The pulp inside, you don't want it, the whole thing, but kind of clean as much as I do not rinse. If you want, you can rinse. They're a little bit slimy when you touch, and then you put some flour and some salt. So yes, you can help yourself here too. And yeah, so we are ready to, so we shredded enough of the pumpkin, and we are ready to saute it, and we'll saute it for what was it, 5 to 7 minutes. You don't want to like really fry it, just saute it a little bit. My mom would salt it, her shredded pumpkin, and then she'll leave it for maybe a couple of hours if she has time for more, and then she would squeeze some of the water so the sauteing goes faster. But we are not going to do this because I don't do it. And then maybe this way though, and this is maybe her trick, the color, I love the pumpkin, not the orange pumpkin, not the squash, not the white pumpkins, because the contrast inside, when you open it, it shows the pumpkin. So I think in mom's recipe, when she has the salt, so it preserves the color. So you can preserve the color maybe with the salt, then squeeze the water after, and then saute. So we are going
over to the stove now.
The stove.
Yes.
And
okay, go ahead.
and saute. Okay, I already have the stick of butter, and as I mentioned, this is not an everyday. Medium So it will maybe takes 6 to 7 minutes to do that, to saute, and then we need to be pulling this. So it is not a everyday dessert. So if you watch for what or avoid butter, so just one stick for all this 20 sheets. So I don't think it's too much. And if it's once a year, so yeah, we can afford to have it. Okay, so now.
So while you're doing that, what would be a typical occasion you would make this for in Bulgaria?
So this will be around, so for the holidays. So we have now St. Nicholas Day coming on the 6th of December. Then we have, of course, Christmas. We make our New Year's. So we would make, but mainly end of October and November. This is what we would have. But for what a meal, like a treat, this will be for, I would say, we don't have Thanksgiving, but I hope some of you can impress your guests for Thanksgiving with a new pumpkin dessert. But we do have now a lot of name days, and whatever name days is now the biggest is coming, as I said, in 6th of December. So for my mom would make it for my brother's name day, which is Nikolai. So St. Nicholas Day is 6th of December. Okay. So this one will be, I can turn it up a little bit higher. Oh, okay. And then.
So you're just gonna let that cook a while.
Yeah, so I'll cook this a while, and then I'll tell you about the next step. This will be the phyllo dough. We use this sheets. We did talk about with Tamara that I like the bigger sheets. Wegman sells a variation with just the half of this. They come in 2 boxes. 2 packages.
Yeah. So it's maybe 3/4 the length of that one. So it's shorter, but it comes in 2 packages. So yeah, but I think it depends on the size of what you want to make. I typically like this one.
Yeah, so the other one is maybe it will work for if you're making some like finger food baklava or pumpkin baklava, or I make another like an appetizer, and it's in my book, banitsa. It's something savory with feta. So, and then when I make finger foods, then these small pieces that do help, and I turn them into like little roses, and they're like finger food. So maybe for this, but for this baklava, we use the big sheet. So they come usually, because they come by weight, I never know how many, usually between 18 and 23. Sometimes, yeah, so maybe when they're 23, maybe they're thinner. When they're thicker, they'll come like 18. So
Okay.
This is what my observation, but I don't know if they have something. So, and then let me check on this here. Yeah, just we need to saute until it's soft, but not overcooked, as I mentioned. Okay. So, yes, if the whole water was already out, maybe this process would have been a bit faster. Okay, so now, and then I like the color. It's still nice and orangey. Any questions or any comments so far?
For your walnuts, you typically just get the pre-shelled walnuts here, of course,
Yes.
because that's so easy to do.
Yes, so this will be the next one, and I'm sure you check the latest updated recipes. One of the main the ingredient we all love in my family is that the walnuts. So now, yes, I did pre-chop them, not very finely, so roughly chopped.
Yeah, and you did that in a food processor also.
In the food processor as well, but yes.
Kay and Doug are saying that after they cut their pumpkin in sections and got the seeds out, they found they could scrape the pumpkin out with a spoon and it came out kind of already shredded like spaghetti squash.
Yeah, so, and some people do, but you would not be able to do this in with all pumpkins. Maybe you had spaghetti squash, because with this one, we can try this here, but I don't think they all, maybe, yeah, some will come, but, and how big were the spaghetti, I wonder? So maybe, but it doesn't matter too much because it will be sauteed and they'll be nice and soft, but that's a good idea. Great. And if you have extra helping hands to do the scraping, this will be great.
Yeah.
Right? So, and such a fun activity actually, because in the older days, now I didn't have anybody helping me yesterday when I was doing, but I had my news on, my audiobook on, and so I was not alone. And so when it gets bored, of course, you can stay in your thoughts if you want for a long time, but you can turn anything, you can watch something, you can listen to music, anything. However, the older times, this was the time when, like, this is cold already, so it's people are not in the fields. They've gathered all the pumpkins are gathered, the walnuts are gathered, and then usually the girls, and this was called like a večerinka, it's like in the evening gatherings, and they'll do like either the shredding or something or cutting, and then they'll make they'll be singing, they'll be doing like a little bit of gossip, of course, the best gossip. Yes, the best gossip and the singing, exchanging ideas, exchanging songs, and so this was fun time for everybody. And then the boys will be outside. They'll be knocking and kind of menacing around and stuff, doing things that they were not supposed to, but they'll be, or maybe they'll be helping with the fire. So this was all fun in the villages, I mean, in the traditional villages. So I think this should be it. That's good. We'll get it a bit going here. Still a nice color. This color.
I think in a lot of cultures that's very common in the winter to come together, family and friends, but really family.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in Persian culture, one of my favorite things to do in the winter is they used to, in the old villages, in the old houses, they would have this kind of like a room with like a central heater, and they would put this big blanket over the top of it, and everyone would sit around it and get under the blanket to stay warm. But then they would be doing things like, you know, shelling the nuts and, opening the pomegranates and things like that. So I think that's very common in a lot of cultures.
Yeah. And it's something that it's like, they didn't have their phones on.
Just a second. Your phone went to sleep for some reason.
They didn't have their phones in their hands, so their hands had to be busy with other stuff and working or embroidery stuff, like they would have some of the.
Oh, so this is a traditional.
This is a traditional Bulgarian embroidery, and this is cross stitch here.
Beautiful.
And so this, now the pumpkin, the sauté needs to cool down. And we're fortunate enough to have the nature's pantry outside, freezer outside. And we'll put it in on the ice, and it will take some time. So, meanwhile, okay, so we'll have everything ready. I did open, so a little bit of tip. I did cut and I showed you the sheets, but we don't want them to lay open in the air because they dry. And very important, there are good instructions to follow here on the back of the box, but it's so it's very important to leave the phyllo dough from the freezer because they usually come frozen in Wegmans, or in this culture I have not seen fresh. So we leave it in the refrigerator. I left it for 1 day or whatever says in the box. You follow the box, and then the next day before you cook, you need to leave it out in the room temperature. So I opened it to show you, but we want to keep it nice and close so it's not drying on us. So meanwhile, if no questions or comments, we'll just move on to
We can move on to another dish.
another dish, and while we're waiting for the sauté to cool down, we'll have something that is seasonal as well. For this season, it will be something that is called, I called it Bulgarian tzatziki sauce. We call it dry tarator. And why it's dry tarator? Because we have a summer tarator, which I call summer soup, like a summer yogurt soup, and cucumber and yogurt soup. So in my book, I try to find the closest that is equivalent, so people when they eat or they try something, this will be the closest in their imagination, so they're prepared for something. So our tarator is the summer dish. It's cucumber and yogurt, and it's with the same, almost the same ingredients, but for the winter it's the dry tarator, because we don't now we don't have cucumbers like seasonally we're talking about. So we have now dill pickles. So the pickles are already jarred and they're ready to eat. And then the tzatziki is, so when I say dry tarator, in this culture, people would not be able to understand or have, I mean, to have like to picture something
that they're familiar with.
They're familiar, and they'll be like, but if we say tzatziki, so a lot of people have tried the Greek version of this. So we Bulgarians have not invented it. What is the Bulgarian part of it is the nuts of Bulgarian, meaning our family touched to it, because we used, you guessed it, walnuts too. And we used yogurt. And so for this recipe, I drained the yogurt, and it's in the recipe to drain it overnight.
So can you explain this a little bit?
Yeah, so, and it looks like it was hanging in the sink over a bowl. And so it was hanging like this. It's not looking very pretty, but but we used the cheesecloth. I used the cheesecloth, and I have in the recipe 4 cups of yogurt. So there are different types of yogurt, so that's why mine, it came a little bit watery, and so I drained. Actually, I lost a lot of the weight.
Is this a regular plain yogurt or a Greek plain yogurt?
Really good question. I used homemade plain, and this is using our culture, which is Bulgarian Lactobacillus bulgaricus is one of the basic cultures that produce yogurt, and it's found in Bulgaria. But in Greek yogurt, there is different culture that produces the yogurt. So the Greek yogurt is different recipe and different type. It's a little bit drier, because I think they drain part of it already. So it's almost like if you have plain Greek yogurt, you might not even need to drain it so much. Or if you drain it, so this is how my yogurt looks like now. I think it's ideal, but if you have it a bit drier, so then it's always, that's why I saved, you can add some dill juice, or you can add some of the whey, which I saved and I brought. So the idea is to have it just right, not too thick and not too watery. So, and if it's, I have a comment in my recipe that if it's too thick, you can water it down. I mean, water it a bit, thin it, and if you don't care to thin it, you can actually make, this is not thick, but if it's thick, I say that you can make some snowmen and decorate your appetizer plate. So yeah, but if it's thick, so don't panic, you just, so we have this already here. And I think it's perfect. The consistency is nice. It's almost like, looks like, what do you think? It's like sour?
A little bit like sour cream.
Sour
I think you're
cream.
right. Yeah, the consistency of sour cream.
But it will be, yeah, like tasting the yogurt in it. So then we'll add, so we have the dill pickles. I already chopped some. You can choose as much or as fewer of them and chop them finer, or this will be good size.
So that's kind of just diced, I would say. Diced.
Diced on, right? Or I sometimes you can even chop. You use a food processor and chop this finer if you want, and then we'd use. So now we'll add some. So we'll add our garlic. So you can use garlic, regular garlic, and it says in the recipe the amount of the garlic. Or if you're not going anywhere on a special meeting or a date, you can use the regular.
So I think what you're saying is that if you use the fresh garlic, it's going to be a little pungent on your breath.
On the breath, unless the other person has had the same.
Yes.
Then it's yeah, we know how garlic breath can be, but it's very healthy. And then, or the easiest way, it's like I use the garlic salt or garlic granulated garlic I used, and then I'll add some of the, so I'll have the walnuts. And if you're a fan of the walnuts, you can add the whole amount, and if not, you can see how you like it. And then like this, I'll add more. Get a bit thicker. Walnuts, so you get your proteins, both the animal and the plant proteins as well. And then a little bit of salt to taste, and black pepper to taste as well. So I'll re-garnish this with fresh dill. And I'll mix it, and I'll add a little bit more for the garnish. Okay, and then voila. So this is a nice dip to share on here, and to share on a favorite piece of bread, toast, or here on a cracker.
Nice.
So here, who wants to try?
We'll let
Later.
Okay.
Okay, or later. So this is the, yeah, so in the summer version of this, so you already know 2 recipes. So this is the winter version. If you add some water, you dilute it, and you add some ice cubes, and then you serve it with a spoon. Then you have the summer soup. But you need to say that it's yogurt and it's cold soup, and it's a summer dish. We don't serve, and it's like in Bulgaria you cannot serve the summer soup in the winter. This is a no-no.
Can you serve hot soup in the summer?
We do not.
No, so you keep hot soup for winter and cold
Yes,
soup
and
for
tea usually, but I know it's a really good way sometimes to cool down with the tea. People drink tea in the summer, but we do not. And then
Okay.
in the winter, we do not drink iced tea. And I was scolded actually last winter. It said like iced tea or something, you know, and at the cafe. And I said, do you guys have can I have some iced tea? I didn't want to carry like hot stuff. And she said, but we don't have iced tea, iced coffee now. It's winter after all. She was like, really? What are you talking about? But they had the old, advertisement from the summer. But yeah, so
Sure.
this is the winter version. So you have the summer version, just add water. So this will be, however, and then because in the summer you'll have cucumbers, fresh cucumbers. So this will be not a dill. And if you serve tarator with dill, then you're committing another crime too.
Oh, no.
So it's like a fresh is kept for the summer, dill is for the winter.
Okay.
Okay. So
Oh.
some kind of cultural rules, and we follow. It's like I cannot I do not buy still tomatoes or cucumbers in the winter.
Oh, okay.
Although they're available, and they're available now in Bulgaria. So now I think we have our saute ready. I'll move this away. So maybe, and you can adjust the dip to your tasting. You can add more salt. Was it sweeter, or so you can?
Very good.
I definitely see why you're liking it. Tzatziki. It has a very similar kind of flavor, but it's a little different.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now that's ready, and we are rolling it. And we have the greased pan already.
So you grease the pan with just some butter?
Some butter, and actually I use the stick to go around it. And so now, and we are rolling it very quickly. It's very easy to roll. It's fun. You can include the kids to do this, or kids love it actually. So, and then we have like kind of like that's perfect. The snow did really kill. Okay, so and then I say approximately like the tablespoon. So it's like this. I spread it, and some people, I don't know if there is a rule for this, but I do it only at the end. My mom spreads it around.
All the way
So
around?
what is the rule? Now tell me, how do you do your
Well,
your
my
baklava?
baklava is layered in sheets, so I don't do the
Oh,
roll.
you cannot do roll. Yes, but okay. So here, a little bit of this, and then we'll have another. And I'm using my hands now, like kind of like that, and then the sugar, and just all over the place. So why sugar in it? We already have, so don't worry about if you want to skip the sugar inside, because I already have the syrup. You can skip the whole. However, you want the pumpkin to taste sweet itself inside, so otherwise it might be a bit. So, and then we roll it.
So you
So
use
now
one
I have,
sheet
no, I
or
use,
two?
no, sorry, two
sheets.
two because yeah, so this will be, they'll fit exactly in, and because the baklava the pumpkin is already cooked. So, and this is the size, I think I gave a size of what was it, the pen I measured it, it was 14 to 12 inches.
Okay.
So this, I think it's approximately this. Really quickly, we spread it out. So how is now the sauteing and the spreading coming along with people who are following, or any questions?
Yeah, if we're going too fast, let us know. But hopefully yours is, your pumpkin has cooled and you're able to follow along. So you prepared this syrup ahead of time so that we will be able to do this, right?
No, actually, no, because we'll cool the baklava.
What is this syrup from?
Oh, this is the oil.
Oh, that's
This is the
oil.
oil,
I
yes.
see, that's the oil.
And the oil. Actually, the oil you can skip as well because we already have. So it's kind of, I have it in the recipe, and then when in directions you can, if you decide to skip it or if it's, but it does bring like this
Crispiness?
crispiness to it, yes, because we already have butter, so it would not be too dry, but and it brings the vegetable. We use the original recipe calls for the sunflower oil, and we just love sunflower oil everywhere. We do make our salads with vegetable oil as well, but we use what was it? Olive oil for salads. And I don't know why, but I do not cook olive oil because we call olive oil because I think it's expensive. So we use it for salad and we eat it raw.
It also has, you know, a certain flavor to it that can kind of overpower anything.
Yeah, so
I actually really like the way you're doing this because it's so much easier than the way I do my baklava with the sheets, you know, layer after layer after layer.
oh, but then yes, but your baklava when you cut it, it just you can see it. It's a different recipe. And I do make baklava, regular baklava on for New Year's because the pumpkins by then are either frozen or they're, you know, they're not available. So I do make it, and yes, I know it's like, oh, every single thing. But if you roll it though, I don't think it will be baklava.
I mean, I've seen, I think there's some Turkish baklava that is rolled.
Like this? And
kind of, yeah. I don't know exactly how they do it, but I have seen kind of a rolled version.
Oh, okay, yeah, so so this is, so the syrup will make it together, and we'll need to, so this is the rule, and I think maybe same for the regular baklava you follow. The rule is you cannot have both hot or both cold, right? So one needs to be, so which one do you prefer? I don't know if
I usually make my syrup ahead of time and let it cool. And then I pour it over the hot baklava.
Oh, okay.
Because I like that sizzle. To hear that sizzle
and
when
maybe
the baklava is hot.
I don't know if it, we need to try it if it makes difference, but so I like to pour the, I don't know why I had it. I have done it either way. For me, it's either way. Put it in interchangeable.
I think you can. I think, you know, as long as one is hot and one is cold, that's fine.
Yeah, you cannot. Otherwise, like, no, cold would not happen. It would not soak enough or appropriately, or then the other one will be too hot. It'll be.
I'm watching you do this and wondering, have you ever tried putting the sugar in the walnuts to save a step?
Actually, yeah.
I wonder if that would work because that's the way we do it. And I'm thinking, I wonder if
and we
that
can
would go
speed
faster.
up. Speed up the thing. Yes, we can do that. Absolutely. However, so then if I have some sugar leftovers, I'll use it in the syrup, or I can pour it back. So maybe that's why I keep it. Okay, so we have this one. A few more, so almost there. And like that.
And for those of you who are local, Adelina brought a whole tray of already made pumpkin baklava, and we're making another one. So if you would like to stop by and have some baklava, let me know.
Okay, so now, and then, so when do you make a baklava, Tamara?
I pretty much make it any time during the year. I do make it year round for special occasions. I have a few friends who really, really love baklava, and I know anytime I make it, I have to, save a few pieces for them. But I just made some last week for a special Thanksgiving gathering, an early Thanksgiving. I typically make it in the winter more, but I have made it in the summertime as well. I think baklava has just become kind of such a special pastry here. You know, people don't necessarily think of it as only a winter dish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you would you bake it in the In the summer too, you said, yeah.
Yeah,
How more in the winter.
more in the winter, I think, because it's a little bit heavy. It's a little bit of a heavy dessert, you know.
And I was just thinking, because I think how it is in, so traditionally you cook and then cooked in the oven. I mean, the oven helps to cook to warm the house.
Yes, right.
And then in the summer, we have summer kitchens. So summer kitchens will be for stuff like to cook vegetables or like barbecuing outside more.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
We use the grill more.
Yeah.
So a couple of comments. Helen says she loves these traditions, these rules that you're mentioning. And then I think Kay and Doug are cooking along, and they say that this is a lot of fun. Their top sheet of phyllo was a little dry, so their rolls are getting better as they go along.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I did that too. Would you like another sheet, or do you?
No, we'll do it like this.
Oh, okay.
And then, so I have what? So now 3. Oh, see, this is the odd number. So now, but yes, as I mentioned, so we're so tempted to open the sheets right away. So that's why it's like, but don't worry, your baklava will be as yummy, and it's so forgiving. The phyllo dough is so forgiving. It's like when you cut it, you can save the broken pieces for you, but we say that we can, we call this, but banitsa, not baklava, but banitsa is like with the feta. We say that it's like what is the lady who is wearing shaggy? So that's a riddle, another riddle. A shaggy dress, right? The shaggy means that like you're like, we can put maybe 3. How about this? And put everything else. And then she's not afraid to show and go and visit the king. So because banitsa is like, kings like baklava. When people bring them baklava, this lady is like, we say a lady because it's feminine in Bulgarian. It's a feminine noun, banitsa, so it's a lady. And if it was a masculine grammatically masculine, that would be a man who's wearing these shaggy dresses and still going to visit, not afraid to visit the king. So this one I made it very now kind of a chubby. And the riddle says that this is banitsa or the baklava, because even if it's broken here, it's like shaggy, it still will please even a king. So this is kind of the message. Okay, so now I'll squeeze one here. Okay.
So you can really squeeze them together and they'll be fine.
Squeeze them together, yes, and then I'll sprinkle. I say some of this. Okay, some sugar, optional, and then some.
So I think for yours, you're using the oil, whereas with the Persian baklava, we use a lot more butter.
Okay, so how many?
2 sticks of butter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
is yummy.
Each layer, and then you butter the top as well.
This is very yummy. So now with the ends, I can move that here closer. With the ends, they will get a bit drier on the side, but then we cut them and we keep them for the cook.
Yes, exactly.
But then we'll put some of the syrup, and then we are ready to bake our baklava.
Okay, and you wanted to talk about the fact that you do not preheat your oven, right?
Yes, and it's maybe you didn't have this in the instructions, but it doesn't say preheat, right? But with my updated version of my book, actually, because a American friend said, I baked it in 425, and I say, and it almost burned. So I said, what did you do? Oh, I preheated the oven. No, we don't preheat the oven. So why we don't preheat? Mama didn't preheat, Grandma didn't preheat, and I don't preheat. Why we think it's wasteful to have the oven going when we have
and it's 425?
425, and we'll time it for what was it for 8 to 10 minutes. So we'll watch, because it's a different different oven, and each time, okay. So it's so impressive though. People will ask me that, it's like, now it's a cold,
Yes.
it's a cold oven. Yes, there is nothing to rise, right? So we don't need it warm. And it will never even get to 425 because by 8 minutes,
It's not at 425
it's not even
yet.
425.
Exactly.
But it just goes so fast, and then I turn it down. And so a really good tip I would like to share is like, we cannot bake, and many people who bake more than me, I'm sure, you cannot bake, leave something in the oven and go and do grocery or do
Right.
laundry or do some, or watch a movie, because we need to check on the baking in the oven. So yeah, so that's one thing. And then while we are doing that, we'll have this 2 more things from our kitchen to your kitchen, from our country, old country, to this country. So thank you. Okay, so now one of
Should we
the
make the syrup or no? It's up to you.
the syrup will be, we want the hot,
Boiling.
yes,
Okay,
boiling, and
okay.
then we'll put this in the
Okay.
unless, yeah, we can maybe do it your way.
It's up to you.
Okay. What do you think will be faster?
If,
How we are on time? Okay.
yeah, we're okay on time.
Okay.
We can do
Good.
that. That's fine.
Okay. And then, yeah, why don't we start this? I'll start the
Okay.
syrup. So we're not. Okay. So I have already do the water.
Okay, so you have water in the pan.
So we'll do the syrup so we're not, and we'll go. It's either way. We have come to a conclusion, the consensus, right? That either way works. So we'll have now. We'll pull out the syrup, and we'll have the hot baklava. And either way works. You try it and you see, maybe some of it too, like, oops. I can have this started.
Oh,
Yes, I smelled it. Oop, we don't want to explode now. Okay, it's different. Yeah, so medium. So we'll have the water boiling first, and then we'll add our sugar and the other ingredients.
I think we'll turn it up if you want the water.
Oh,
It
yes,
can take a
yeah,
while.
Okay. And we can come back to
Yep,
where you were.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so the third ingredient, and we always have this in my house, always, even in this country. You open my refrigerator, we'll have like a chunk of this. And this is a Bulgarian feta. And what is the difference that we have, and I'm sure in Greek as well, in Greece as well, maybe in Turkey too, we prefer the sheep feta. And what we buy regularly here, it's like from cow milk. So we in Bulgaria, you can buy either or goat if you prefer. However, for appetizer, because this is what we're making now, first we'll make feta squares. And for appetizers, it's richer and it's fancier. With the cow feta, we only cook. So it's another one too. And we don't serve it like plain. So I have this already. A nice, here they cut it for me. And so what I do is like I have a nice, or you can cut like what is it, 1/2 inch thick?
Yeah, about a 1/2 inch, it looks like.
Chunk of your big, so but you need to have a piece of feta, of course, because a lot of times we buy it in crumbled already. So, and then I cut. So this is our appetizer, and it's always a winner. It goes well with wine. Red wine we drink in the summer, I mean in the winter. And in the winter, this is the kind of, it can go either way. For summer or winter, I like it more in the winter because it's heavier as an appetizer. And so I like to have this nice kind of squares. And then, so it's another rule. So I don't know how you do this. If you use your olive oil and paprika together, or some people who use it in like Bulgarian. So I usually sprinkle first the paprika. This is a sweet paprika we're using. It's a nice, it shows very nicely here, like a little bit just for contrast. And then I drizzle over the olive oil. Some people put the olive oil first, but why I use it this way, because then my olive oil can go into the paprika, so paprika is not dry. If you put it on top, it might not get saturated, and so it might be dry. And then this is how we use it. We serve it with nice toothpicks. Here we go.
Nice.
Yes, enjoy it, and we serve it with, again, with anything, all like wine. It goes really well.
I think your water's boiling.
It's boiling, and then so now we want to see how is it cooking.
Needs time.
Yeah. And then, so now the water is boiling. We'll add our sugar. The sugar, and then we'll turn this a little bit down now, right? And like medium. It will take 5 to 7 minutes. Hold on. I don't know how you make your syrup. How long is it?
I usually, let it boil for, a couple minutes, maybe, until it's clear. I think till it gets clear, and that way, the sugar's all melted.
Yes, and I leave it a little bit longer, so it's kind of gets really syrupy and nice. Okay, and then we'll chill it. And this will be that. We'll add our lemon juice. Lemon juice, and then a few drops of vanilla. So yeah, we're just making the syrup. It's not a big deal, even if we missed it. It's fine. So it will be okay. So well, this is done. Maybe so how is it, the preheating coming along?
We're at 300.
300. Yay! It will never go so hot. So which is the good news. Okay. Any questions or any comments? And I have, I'll keep this. I'll keep this.
One of these.
I'll keep everything out. And I'll keep this.
And then we could maybe.
Okay, so any questions or how people are doing now with the appetizers? We had the tzatziki going. Did you try your tzatziki? Anybody? And then Okay, so cooking. Yeah, mine go. Yeah, I think it's okay to take time because it will be 400. It will be too hard, not too hot. Okay, so now, this is here. Our syrup is almost done. Put it on, and we can get it chilling for us.
Okay.
Oh no, we are using chilling this one. Because we're switching. Thank you. And the timer. I think the timer went. Yeah. So we had it for 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's some time. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah. So let's see. And now we can. How far did it go?
It's at 340.
340. Yeah. So our timer went off. Right for 10 minutes. So now we can turn it down to now 345. So it's almost yes. Okay, good. And we want to have it for 10. What is it? 8. 10, 15 minutes it says, but yeah. So let's see 15 minutes and we'll watch it. And then meanwhile we'll have. Okay, so and then we'll have, so now you have the squares, but a lot of times maybe 3 or 4 of these squares will be not eaten, so they'll be leftovers. So what we do, we don't waste and we don't like to, so I'll put this here, and then we can add more feta, and we do now a spread. Feta dip or spread. And then what we do with the squares, or a little bit of, I'll put some more of the feta. Just a touch more. You can use it.
So you've had your party, didn't all get eaten, and you don't want to throw it away. So you're using the leftovers to make this spread.
The spread, and it could be like a breakfast spread or dip for the next party if you want, or just feta for the next party. You're tired of squares, so what we do is like, now we need to add our garlic. Oh, here it is. And then so we'll have the garlic with, or
One of the questions that came up in the chat was, locally here in our center region, is there anywhere that you can get the sheep's milk feta?
oh, that's a good question. We buy, no, we buy it online, and it's I don't want to make the advertisement for them, but yeah, you can look up. It's a good store we've been using for 10 years. It's malinchu.com.
I
And
think
it's a good-
I've
it's a
seen
good
it at
price.
Trader Joe's as well.
Oh,
I have seen it at Trader Joe's, but I don't know.
like feta. Actually, you can try the Eastern European store, and the price is a little bit more expensive than the one, and because we buy bulk, we get the delivery discount. But yeah, so
I think you might also find it at the Global Foods in Hamilton Plaza. I think they might have it as well.
Yes, but try the Eastern European. They do carry things from Eastern Europe and from Bulgaria, I have seen. And you can ask for Bulgarian, even feta cheese, but whatever you find. But yeah, cow from the sheep milk, it will be like creamy. It's almost like cream cheese. So, okay. And then let me see, just to double check, feta dip, so that, and then, so I will add just a little bit here, a touch of the olive oil, and
This is the olive oil.
I think this is the olive oil. or just some regular oil will be fine. And now you can serve it. So you have a new appetizer. Next time, oh, you're tired of that. It will taste a little bit different because then now you have the garlic. And then we serve it again on a cracker. And it is garlicky, so yeah, here or okay, enjoy. So how are we with the baking? How are the things going in the
11 more minutes. Yeah, they're not browning yet.
not yet, but and how is it now underneath? Is it baked underneath? I was thinking it's a little bit higher. The rack is higher. Maybe. No. Yeah, so we'll have a little bit of time to wait for it, but the idea is everybody understands it. And so we'll pour the syrup when the syrup will be cooled. And meanwhile, the magic of TV, we have the finished product. We don't want to hold too many people online if you're busy. So this is how it will look like.
So you've got that cut in maybe a 2-inch or
2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it's cooked, we cut the baklava. We cut the baklava, and it does show. The pumpkin shows in. You see your some of the nuts, the walnuts, and then it's nice and brown on top, and it's syrupy, it's sweet, and it's yummy. So the only tip now, once it's out of the oven, the baklava needs to we will have it hot, ready, cut, and then we'll pour the cold syrup. So this is something that people need to know. And then you have the ready product and share with us. If you have any comments or any questions, please feel free to share. I'm really excited to hear from people with nice, good tips. And I'm so ready actually and able to update. I'm not afraid to update my book because it takes me 2 minutes. I go and upload the new version, and this is all done. If anything that you can suggest that will improve this book, I'll really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today. And then Tamara?
Yeah. So thank you so much. We have any more comments here? Okay. Wondering if a little lemon zest would be nice in the baklava.
Yes, we added the lemon juice. I freshly squeezed earlier, and it says in the recipe. And zest, absolutely. And Tamara, I know Tamara uses rose.
I use rose water in mine, but that's a whole different.
Yes, but yeah, we don't use this. Yeah. And some cultures use for their baklava, they use pistachios. We use walnuts. So maybe culturally, what we grow, what is the local. Yeah, walnuts are the local and the cheapest. So cashews, I don't know, but pistachios were very kind of like luxury. So it was just for snacks. So we were not cooking because the walnuts were available.
Right. Well, yeah. So we will finish up what's in the oven. But for those of you who we probably should just close down here. So thank you for joining us. And I wanted to say this video will be up by midweek. If you need to go back and check on anything, the recipes will stay online on our website, as are all of our previous episodes. I think we have 24, 25 episodes archived now. So if you missed any of them, you can always go back and watch them on our website, wpsu.org/worldkitchen. And next month's episode will be on the website within about 10 days. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll see you in December.
Yeah, happy holidays.